I was a fan once too. And all of a sudden then one day you're in the locker room with these guys. And it's like, oh my goodness.
In professional wrestling, few names shine as brightly as Hulk Hogan. But behind the scenes, things weren't always so perfect. WWE legend Shawn Michaels has finally revealed why many wrestlers quietly despised Hogan.
I'm not friends with anyone I don't trust. I have to have a trust with someone to be their friend. And he's the one that ratted me to Vince when I tried to unionize.
From Jesse Ventura feeling betrayed over union struggles to Randy Savage's infamous Black Eye saga, even some of wrestling's biggest stars secretly hated the hero the world adored. So, why did they hate him so much? Join us as we uncover the shocking revelation by Shawn Michaels on why some WWE stars don't like Hogan. Revenge at SummerSlam 2005. Hulk Hogan, often seen by fans as the ultimate wrestling hero, was far from beloved behind the scenes. Among his peers, he was arguably one of the most disliked figures in professional wrestling. According to Shawn Michaels, also known as the Heartbreak Kid, or HBK, a key reason was Hogan's well-known tendency to manipulate storylines and match outcomes in his favor. He frequently interfered with creative decisions and dictated match finishes to elevate his own status above others. Shawn Michaels experienced this firsthand at SummerSlam 2005, a night he turned into an opportunity for calculated revenge. Imagine the scene. Toronto's Sky Dome, 17,000 screaming fans, and two legends prepared for a match that should have been a dream contest. Instead, Michaels transformed Hogan into a human pinball, exaggerating every move as if performing in a Looney Tunes cartoon. Each punch, slam, and simple wrestling maneuver sent Michaels soaring across the ring, while Hogan's signature right hand and leg drop had HBK bouncing around like a rubber ball. This was not a moment of carelessness or overacting. It was deliberate. At the time, this match was meant to be the start of a trilogy. The plan called for Hogan to win at SummerSlam, Michaels to claim victory in a rematch, and possibly a rubber match to definitively settle the score. Yet Hogan, wielding his legendary backstage influence, terminated the storyline entirely. The creative team had meticulously plotted Michaels' eventual triumph over the aging legend, with steel cage matches, special stipulations, and merchandise opportunities all considered. Hogan, however, judged that giving HBK the spotlight was not in his interest. The irony was sharp. The man who built his career instructing children to say their prayers and eat their vitamins was about to deliver a harsh lesson in the brutal reality of wrestling politics. The timing only added to the absurdity. This was 2005 Shawn Michaels, the reformed, born-again Christian version who had regained his smile. A consummate professional willing to elevate stars like Chris Jericho and Kurt Angle, not the difficult, pill-popping HBK of the 1990s. In interviews with Inside the Ropes in Dublin, Michaels revealed the truth behind his performance. He admitted that the match was meant to be a good guy versus good guy contest, and while plans shifted, he embraced the challenge. His exaggerated bumps and theatrical reactions were carefully crafted messages, subtle yet pointed commentary on Hogan's manipulations. Each over-the-top move transformed Hogan's basic offense into comedy, exposing the legend's backstage politicking in the process. Years later, Michaels and Hogan reportedly moved past the incident, with Hogan acknowledging the match as firmly in the past. Yet, for wrestling purists, the SummerSlam 2005 confrontation remains iconic. Not for the original intentions, but for how perfectly it illustrated the behind-the-scenes frustrations wrestlers had long harbored toward Hogan. Unlike others who might have publicly criticized him, Michaels maintained a veneer of respect while quietly making it clear he saw through the Hulkster's act. But what sparked locker room revolts against Hogan? Let's begin with the biggest of all Hogan controversies, Hogan's betrayal of Ventura. It's 1986, and Jesse "the Body" Ventura is trying to rally the wrestlers behind a bold and revolutionary idea, a union. We're talking about basic human rights here, health insurance, retirement plans, the kind of protection that every person deserves, especially those who risk their bodies for our entertainment. But instead of support, what happens? Hulk Hogan betrays him. Faster than a snitch in a federal prison, Hogan runs straight to Vince McMahon and spills the plan. Ventura's union effort is crushed immediately, and McMahon threatens to fire anyone involved. Why did Hogan turn his back on his fellow wrestlers? Simple. Money. Tons of it. According to Ventura, Hogan was earning more than God, Andre the Giant, and the Ultimate Warrior combined. Naturally, he had no interest in a union that might cut into his personal fortune. This wasn't just a business move, it was a personal betrayal. Ventura carried that grudge to the grave, never forgiving Hogan for putting his paycheck above the health and future of every wrestler in the locker room. "You and Hulk were once good friends," someone asked Ventura. His answer? Never. You can't be friends with someone you don't trust. He ratted me out to Vince when I tried to unionize. I found out during a federal deposition. Vince didn't hesitate at all. I told my lawyer, and the ripple effects of this betrayal haunted the wrestling world for decades. Think about it. Countless wrestlers suffered career-ending injuries without proper medical care. Legends died broke because they had no retirement safety net. And Hogan? At the very peak of Hulkamania in 1986, while making millions and preaching to kids about doing the right thing, saying prayers and taking vitamins, he was stabbing his colleagues in the back. The hypocrisy was thicker than his iconic mustache. Ventura also called out Hogan on another lie: steroids. Hogan publicly claimed he never used them, but backstage, everyone knew the truth. In Minneapolis, wrestlers would joke that when Hogan told kids to take their vitamins, he really meant steroids, because vitamins was slang for injectables. And the saga doesn't end there. Even The Undertaker, the dead man himself, had his own grievances with the Hulkster. Another chapter in the long history of Hogan's backstage controversies. So, what happened between Hogan and The Undertaker? Were there other stars that had such rift with Hogan? Let's find out. Hogan's controversies. At Survivor Series 1991, The Undertaker defeated Hulk Hogan to win his first WWE Championship. This should have been a defining moment for a young rising star, a chance for a new legend to shine. But instead of letting The Undertaker take the spotlight, Hogan did what he often did. He claimed that the tombstone piledriver had injured him. The Undertaker, the consummate professional, was shocked and worried about his job. But when the match footage was reviewed, it became clear that the move had been executed safely and perfectly. Hogan's injury was about as real as his famously bleached hair, dude. The Undertaker later spoke about the incident on his podcast. He said, "Hey, brother, I was really nervous about taking the tombstone. I have a bad neck. I promised him I'd take great care of him." And true to his word, The Undertaker performed the move flawlessly. Yet Hogan still claimed injury afterward, putting his own image above the credibility of a young performer and threatening the future of a rising star in the business. Then there was Macho Man Randy Savage. And this story is hotter than a Carolina Reaper, brother. According to persistent rumors backed by Scott Steiner, Savage allegedly punched Hogan, giving him a black eye before WrestleMania 9. The fight was reportedly personal, possibly related to Hogan's interactions with Miss Elizabeth, Savage's ex-wife. Hogan claimed the black eye was the result of a jet ski accident, but even Bret Hart called that story nonsense, noting that Savage was a far more trustworthy and reliable man than Hogan. Savage had been Hogan's tag team partner and ally, helping elevate the Mega Powers storyline to legendary status. But personal issues and Hogan's ego allegedly tore their friendship apart. Savage passed away in 2011, taking the full truth to his grave. Yet the black eye story remains because it fits a long pattern of Hogan's behavior witnessed by many. Bret Hart's problems with Hogan show how far backstage politics could go. A Halifax photo shoot planned for a Hart-Hogan SummerSlam match that never happened became the perfect example of everything wrong with Hogan's control over WWE. Hart was supposed to be the star of the next generation, a technical master with a real connection to the fans. But Hogan blocked it, denying Hart his big moment, and the Hitman never forgot. Even in 2025, Hart described Hogan as nothing but a liar. Hart's frustration wasn't just about one missed opportunity, it was about the broader problem of one man's ego being able to shape an entire company's future. Hogan refused to pass the torch and eventually left WWE for WCW, taking his influence with him. And then there was the scandal that shook the wrestling world in 2015. Leaked audio revealed Hogan using the N-word multiple times while talking about his daughter Brooke's dating life, expressing discomfort at the idea of her dating a black man. The fallout was immediate and brutal. WWE didn't just fire him. They erased him from history faster than a botched finish gets cut from a highlight reel. Hogan, once a multi-billion-dollar draw, became a symbol of everything wrong with wrestling's backstage politics, ego, and scandal. The fallout from Hulk Hogan's racism scandal exposed just how many people in the wrestling world had quietly been waiting for his downfall. The New Day, Kofi Kingston, Xavier Woods, and Big E released a joint statement that hit harder than a steel chair to the head. They said, "We are not happy, nor do we accept the situation regarding Hulk Hogan and his return to the WWE Hall of Fame. We do not support or agree with any of his comments or beliefs." They demanded that Hogan show real effort to change, but felt he never truly did. Even Mark Henry, known as the world's strongest man, initially tried to help Hogan find redemption. He offered to take him to mostly black schools to apologize in person. When Hogan refused, Henry's disappointment was clear. He needed to do the work to prove he wasn't the person shown in those tapes, Henry said. But Hogan's effort at contrition fell far short of what the Hall of Famer expected. This scandal was not just about a single racist comment. It revealed a pattern: Hogan's tendency to take the easy way out, to expect forgiveness without doing the hard, meaningful work to earn it. The controversy also unearthed other recordings from 2008, jailhouse phone calls between Hogan and his son Nick, where Hogan again used racial slurs. So what other reason could have made Hogan's co-stars to hate him? Let's take a closer look. Hogan's refusal to take bumps. Hulk Hogan's reluctance to endure significant physical punishment, often referred to in wrestling as taking bumps, was a major source of irritation for his peers in the professional wrestling world. In an industry where the physical toll is not only expected, but celebrated as part of the craft, Hogan's refusal was interpreted by many as a refusal to share in the collective sacrifices necessary for the business to function. While Hogan justified his actions by claiming he aimed to work smarter rather than harder, this reasoning was widely dismissed by fellow wrestlers who saw it as placing his own preservation and comfort above the collaborative effort that makes professional wrestling possible. Wrestling relies heavily on trust between performers. Every choreographed fall, every strike, every risky maneuver demands cooperation and mutual commitment. By shirking his fair share of the physical strain, Hogan violated that implicit trust. creating resentment among colleagues who viewed him as undermining the very foundations of their profession. This resentment was not limited to the physical aspects of wrestling. Hogan's influence behind the scenes, particularly his control over creative decisions, was equally controversial. One of the most notorious examples occurred during World Championship Wrestling's WCW Bash at the Beach event in 2000. Hogan, leveraging a creative control clause in his contract, refused to lose a match to Jeff Jarrett. The fallout from this decision was immediate and severe. Vince Russo, the WCW head writer, delivered a highly publicized shoot promo directly criticizing Hogan, breaking the traditional barriers between scripted entertainment and real-life conflict. This clash was more than a personal dispute. It exposed the destructive impact of Hogan's influence on WCW's operations and contributed to the company's mounting financial instability, ultimately leading to its sale. In this instance, Hogan's insistence on placing his own interests above the collective good not only strained professional relationships, but arguably helped undermine the viability of an entire wrestling promotion. The pattern of Hogan prioritizing himself repeated consistently throughout his career. Wrestlers across generations and wrestling styles recounted experiences of professional obstruction or personal slight. Mick Foley, renowned for his hardcore wrestling style, reportedly felt insulted by Hogan's dismissive attitude toward more physically demanding matches. Triple H faced challenges with Hogan's interference in booking decisions, and CM Punk openly criticized Hogan for abusing his backstage influence, manipulating outcomes, and obstructing opportunities for younger talent. Across all these examples, a clear pattern emerged. Hogan's interests always came first, often at the expense of others' careers and aspirations. Beyond his professional conduct, Hogan developed a reputation for exaggerating or fabricating stories about his life and career. He claimed to have missed opportunities such as a deal with George Foreman, falsely stated he had been offered a role as Metallica's bassist, and misrepresented his involvement in casting decisions, claims that were later directly contradicted by the people involved. These embellishments were more than harmless exaggerations. They reflected a man increasingly detached from reality, who came to believe his own mythologized narrative. Criticism of Hogan's behavior came from wrestlers of varied generations, backgrounds, and experiences. The consistent message was that Hogan operated as a political strategist within the wrestling world first, a performer second, and a colleague or human being a distant third. His tendency to dominate storylines, overshadow peers, and control creative outcomes left many feeling marginalized and powerless. When figures as diverse as Jesse Ventura, Bret Hart, and The New Day all recount similar grievances, it is not a matter of isolated misunderstandings or conspiracy. It is the clear indication of a recurring pattern. While these professional betrayals were significant, they were only a prelude to more profound personal challenges that would soon disrupt the Hulkster's life outside the wrestling ring. So, what other challenges did Hogan go through? Let's find out. The fall of an American legend. When your own family starts revealing your deepest secrets in public, it's a clear sign your personal life has spiraled further out of control than a brutal wrestling move. Hulk Hogan's family struggles made even the wildest WWE storylines seem tame. On November 20th, 2007, Linda Hogan didn't just file for divorce, she blindsided him. Hogan discovered the end of his 24-year marriage during a phone interview with the St. Petersburg Times, reacting in stunned disbelief. "Holy smokes! Wow! You just knocked the bottom out of me." The shock was comparable to being hit unexpectedly by a steel chair in the ring. The situation worsened when Linda accused Hogan of having an affair with Christiane Plant, a close friend of their daughter, Brooke. Brooke expressed her heartbreak in a 2008 MySpace post, saying that the betrayal by both her father and her friend left a permanent emotional scar. This was no one-time mistake. It was a deliberate betrayal that shattered multiple relationships. The emotional damage to Brooke was immense. The divorce settlement hit Hogan harder than any wrestling defeat. Linda walked away with over 70% of their liquid assets, $7.44 million out of $10.41 million, and 40% ownership in Hogan's companies. While financially staggering, the emotional damage that followed was far worse. Linda's post-divorce actions continued to disrupt the family. Her relationship with Charlie Hill, a 19-year-old who had attended school with Brooke, created additional tension. Hill later sued Linda for $1.5 million, claiming she made him perform unpaid labor. The inappropriate age gap and controversy further eroded her credibility as a mother, adding to the public spectacle of the Hogan family's collapse. By March 2025, Linda reignited public controversy, calling Hogan a compulsive sexual behavior and a liar on social media. She revealed that Brooke had cut off contact with both parents, saying, "Brooke doesn't talk to us. She had twins. She got married and didn't tell us." The video painted a picture of a family in chaos, resembling a Jerry Springer episode more than a traditional family dynamic. Brooke's response was devastating. She detailed years of verbal, mental, and sometimes physical abuse from both parents. Once a loyal participant on Hogan Knows Best, she had become completely estranged, changed her last name to Alexi after marriage, and skipped Hogan's 2023 wedding to Sky Daily entirely. Brooke's social media posts revealed her decision to cut contact was not impulsive, but the result of deeply personal reasons, including past abuse and the fallout from Hogan's 2015 racist scandal. Her estrangement, lasting roughly 8 years by 2025, demonstrated a deliberate effort to protect herself and her children from toxic family dynamics. Hogan's personal humiliation did not end there. In 2012, a tape revealing private encounters involving Heather Clem, Bubba the Love Sponge's wife, was published by Gawker, exposing intimate moments and later, in 2015, racist remarks that temporarily ended Hogan's WWE career. The tape, which eventually earned Hogan $140 million in damages, also became the source of irreparable damage to his reputation. It highlighted manipulation and exploitation within his social circle, with Bubba recording encounters without Hogan's knowledge and even encouraging them. Family troubles extended to Hogan's son, Nick. A 2007 car accident left John Graziano permanently brain damaged, leading to Nick serving 8 months in jail. Racist phone calls between Hogan and Nick in 2008 further revealed a pattern of normalized racism within the household, exposing how deep and troubling these family issues were. By the mid-2020, Hogan's physical health had severely declined. Over a decade, he underwent more than 25 surgeries, including 10 on his back, and multiple replacements of his knees, hips, and shoulders. In March 2025, he had a complex 4-level cervical spine surgery. Despite public denials of severe illness, his body was failing from years of wrestling, injuries, and steroid use. He described a lifelong cycle of pain, addiction to prescription medication, and emotional exhaustion. Hogan's final weeks were marked by heart weakness, fatigue, shortness of breath, weight loss, and reliance on oxygen. On July 24, 2025, he suffered cardiac arrest at his Clearwater home. Paramedics attempted resuscitation for 30 minutes before transporting him to Morton Plant Hospital, where he was pronounced dead at 11:17 a.m. The cause was acute myocardial infarction, with underlying atrial fibrillation and chronic lymphocytic leukemia, a cancer he had privately battled. Hogan's funeral on August 5, 2025, at Indian Rocks Baptist Church in Largo, Florida, drew celebrities, wrestling legends, and family members. So, what do you think about Shawn Michaels' surprising revelation about Hulk Hogan? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section. Don't forget to like and subscribe.